Hey, what's going on, Ant family? I hope everybody had an amazing holiday weekend. Welcome back. Welcome back. Today is July 6th, and we are starting our day off strong, up 1.3% on the charts for AMP. So, without further ado, let's start today's daily analysis. This is number 23. So, hopping right over from CoinGecko right now, we're looking at AMP on the market. We see that we did drop down a few slots in market cap. Right now, we're currently sitting at the 43 spot, I believe. 42 spot, I'm sorry. From our previous spot of being in around the 20s. I believe AMP was sitting at 27, 28 at one point in time, next to Sheeb. But right now, we did drop in market cap along with a few other coins, which is expected since, Bitcoin has been moving sideways. And we don't have any clear market momentum yet, but we do have, sort of an idea of what's been going on in the markets, i.e. accumulation. So that would justify why we did drop in market cap. And our rank is, number 42 right now. But one of the most interesting things that, I got from just looking at Etherscan and the amount of holders for AMP specifically is that over the weekend, we had around 23,000 holders. Right now, Tuesday, we have 24,367 holders, up 0.67%. So, that just goes to tell me that even though we're moving sideways, there has been, more people buying and accumulating AMP, as I assume they did. But, now we can just literally see and put metrics to how many people were accumulating, over the past previous days, right? And the cool thing about Etherscan is that, it would actually show you the amount of holders over time. So as we can see right here, Friday, July 2nd, we had 23,246 holders, right? And we've grown up gradually, roughly around, a thousand plus holders since Friday, July 2nd. And that's pretty good in my opinion, right? The price has been respecting the structure that we've been in, but ultimately we have been gaining new holders, right? So the awareness of AMP has been growing, and there has been more people, locking AMP up in their wallets. Now, I'm not sure if this Etherscan will show the amount of holders that are staking in Flexa capacity, or if this is just specific to, people holding AMP inside of their crypto wallets like MetaMask or their Coinbase wallet. But, overall, we do see an increase of roughly around roughly around 1,000 new holders since July 2nd. It's pretty interesting to me. So, hopping right into our charts, right? Looking at the daily chart again, right? I'm waiting for this day, July 7th, which is, tomorrow, to see what the market wants to do. I expect something to happen here, right? Looking at, today's candle, we actually have some good bullish momentum, right? We see that the bulls, I will zoom in just a little bit. We see that the bulls are actually in the market. Hence why we have this bullish candle structure. I know that my charts are a little different. I customize my trading view screen to show the bull candlesticks as black and bear candlesticks as white, right? So for anybody that's wondering, bull candlesticks on my charts are black and bearish candlesticks are white. So we do see that, we did come down and we touched the support of this market structure today. But currently right now, we're sitting above the resistance line of this market structure. If we can close above this, I think this will be healthy for AMP and will possibly pull back tomorrow to maybe touch this resistance line to see if we can hold that as support, right? So, it could be something like this where we just touch it and then we go up, right? And that's if we close above, this trend line, which we would need to close above the 0.055 level, right? If we don't, if we fall beneath it and we close beneath this resistance, right? There's a strong possibility that we could move to the downside like this, come up and retest our support line. And if that doesn't hold, then we can break to the downside to, the 0.038 level, right? So that's what we have going on with the daily. We are coming to the end, the apex of this market structure, right? So again, don't let anybody tell you that, things are set in stone 100%, because they're never that way, right? The charts never operate in that way. That's why it's important to understand, what is the most important time frame to look at, and that will be the daily, right? The daily candlesticks give you the most insightful information, right? The only thing you have to do is be a little bit patient, right? And what I mean by that is you have to wait for the daily candlesticks to close in order to make a proper assessment or a good judgment about what's going to happen, right? I said it before. We've seen it with this candlestick, right? July 2nd, when, AMP was coming down and everybody was sort of in a panic frenzy. And then the last hour of this daily candlestick, we shot up. We shot all the way up to 0.062. And then we closed with this neutral doji, right? So that's why it's important to wait until the daily candlesticks to close before making a judgment or assessment about what's going to happen, right? You really have to wait to understand, to see what's going to happen, right? So that's what we have going on with the daily chart. Looking at the 4 hour, right, you see that we are still in this market structure, in this accumulation phase, right? We are still respecting this Wyckoff's theory of accumulation. As you can see, we have more secondary tests here. We have another spring, and we see that again we have some bullish action going on, right? We see consecutive selling pressure, right? Let's just look at the volume for that really quick. We have a lot of consecutive selling pressure around 3 million to 2 million to 6 million volume. This one was pretty big, right? We have 10.54 million in selling volume. But as we come, closer to the bulls buying volume, right? We have 8 million, we have 5 million. Right here we have 5 million again, we have 3 million, and we have 3 million. So, the bull volume is there. I just think that it needs to be a little bit stronger in order for us to really make the case that we're going to go up, right? Again, we need that sign of strength in order to confirm this market structure. If not, then, again, the possibility that we might drop down to the 5 cents level. And if we don't hold there, then we may break down to our previous support at the 0.038 level. So that's what we have going on with the 4 hour. On the 1 hour, it's pretty much the same. The only difference here is, again, you can see that we did try to, get above our trend line that we spotted on the daily as well as on the weekly, right? The first time we tested this trend line again was July 3rd, right? We wicked past it, right? We went way up, but we didn't hold it. Came down, we tried to touch it again, right? We got rejected, but it wasn't a hard rejection, right? The selling volume was very small. We can, look at that and see that the selling volume was only 2 million. We got rejected with 2 million in selling volume here, right? And I would assume that, this selling volume was probably done by a big player, not necessarily by retail, right? And I think that the only objective of a big player selling right here, to keep us below the trend line, was to allow other players to get inside the market, right? So I think that, as long as support continues to hold at the 0.055 level, like we've been saying, then we could definitely see a retest of this trend line again. And I think that we may manage to stay above it once, whoever is trying to get in have officially got in, right? I think that will be the green light, signaling to us that, we will see some upwards momentum and some upward movement with price action. We may see this tomorrow as we come to the end of our market structure, which is why I pulled this all the way out to July 7th. It could come anytime tomorrow, right? It may not come at all, right? This is just, my analysis based on, understanding the technicals of AMP and sort of marking things down. I know I've been, pretty much spot on, but again, y'all, nobody is ever 100% with the charts, right? I can only be as objective and unbiased as possible and lay out all case scenarios, right? So, the scenario that we have going on right now, especially on the daily, is, this bearish pennant, or is it going to be a fake out, right? The scenario that we have going on with the 4-hour is, by applying the Y-cost theory of accumulation, we are in an accumulation phase. But, all conditions are pretty much checked off the board for this, except for this sign of strength, right? We've met 6 out of 7 conditions for this accumulation market structure. When the 7th condition happens, or if the 7th condition happens, right, the sign of strength, then we can confirm this structure and say, okay, we've validated what we've thought has been forming, right? And this is pretty much the most important chart to view in my opinion, right? The 4-hour time frame. I've said it before, we've seen all of our previous market structures play out here to the T, right? We had this ascending triangle that happened in the beginning of June that played out. We had some upward momentum. We had this bullish butterfly that we spotted June 10th, right? And that played out to the T. And, now we have this bullish crab harmonic pattern, right? And we just have to wait to see, if this will play out or not. And one thing to remember is that the bigger the market structure, the more time it will take before we see that structure play out for its upward movement, right? We know that with a bullish crab harmonic, right, that we will see an increase or a move to the upside once, the structure completes. And that's one thing that we really just have to be patient with, right? Because this was a huge increase, right? If we measure this out, just to see how far we started trending up, we started trending up, and we trended up for this is 17 bars, but this would be equivalent to 2 days and 20 hours, right? 119% move, right? That's pretty massive over the course of 2 days and 20 hours, almost 3 days, right? So, with a move like that, I would definitely expect us to, continue to move sideways like we're doing right now for at least, 2 times that amount, right? So if it's 2 days and 20 hours, almost 3 days, I would expect this to, move sideways for at least a week. And, just measuring this out, you see that we've been moving sideways for 9 days. All right. Which is pretty healthy in my opinion, because the longer we continue to move sideways, then the bigger the moves to the upside and the stronger support we have, right? And we've tested these support levels time and time again, and we're holding strong until we are no longer holding strong. Then I think that we would have to again adjust to the market. But right now, we've been going with the trend and what the market has been telling us, which is pretty healthy. So that's what we have going on for AMP. Let's take a look at Bitcoin really quick, right? Looking at the daily chart for Bitcoin, we can see that we are still in, this accumulation phase, right? And one could make the case that, we are forming an ascending triangle as we come to the end of this accumulation phase, right? Just sort of drawing that up really quick. I will extend my trend lines. Yeah, boom, right there. Everything's touching. And then we come up to here where this resistance is, right? So one could make the case that as we come to the end of this market structure, that we're forming this ascending triangle, right? And Bitcoin may continue to bounce around like this until we get to the end of it and break out to the $43,000 level, right? That the end of this ascending triangle would put us at July 15th, right? So maybe that's a key date to look for with Bitcoin, right? What's going to happen July 15th? Are we going to see movement to the upside, or could we possibly fall back down to the $28,000 level? I think that's highly unlikely, especially since big money, smart money, and institutions have been accumulating Bitcoin, ever since the dip, and that's very transparent in the news. But we shall see. So I think July 15th is a key date for Bitcoin, and July 7th, which is tomorrow, is a key date for AMP. We shall see. Time will tell. We know what's forming, but we cannot give out any confirmations to what will happen. We really just have to wait and see. Patience is always key, and patience rewards long-term investors and also day traders. So that's what we have going on in the markets for AMP and Bitcoin. If you guys like this content, please subscribe, leave comments, and share with your friends. And I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Huge shout out to the AMP community, especially the subreddit. And until tomorrow, y'all, have a great day.